So we're back with another buying guide video, and today we're going to be going over the ever so popular, coveted, loved Azzaro Chrome line. So we've got 10 of them here to go over. It's not quite all of them. Those are all of the in production ones, plus one limited edition summer version that you can still pick up. There's a few more limited edition ones that I really didn't want to spend the money on. And I'll be upfront with you and say I didn't really want to spend the money on all of these other ones either, because I had to pick up most of these for the video. I think I only had like 3 to begin with, so you know, I was pumped about that. Got no particular order. We're going to start with the original and work our way through. Like I said, we have 10 to go through here, so let's get it. Azzaro Chrome. Lemon, rosemary, bergamot are a few of the main notes. There are many more. You've smelled this. Even if you think you haven't, there's a 100% chance that you have smelled this on somebody, somewhere. Maybe you don't know it, maybe you do, but it's likely the case. This was everywhere. At this point, the focus is going to be on a lot of the other flankers, but you know, the original is still the OG. One thing you'll find in common here is all of these fragrances are going to be on the cheap spectrum for the most part. Okay, a few of these flankers are a little bit more expensive, but for the most part here, these can be had for $20 to $30, maybe some up in the 40s. And that's not including the limited edition ones, which are inflated on eBay. So I will provide links down below, and as we go along, you can click on those and pick these up for yourself. This one's metallic, citrusy, bright, fresh, clean, definitely of the fresher variety. Same with all of these here. So if you're someone who needs some sweetness, you need some spiciness, some richness to kind of tickle your fancy, this whole lineup is really not going to be for you. But if you want to play it ultra safe, and I'm talking like put in the least amount of effort possible and just have something on your skin, Azzaro Chrome is about all you need. I would say a lot of these other flankers are going to be better these days, but again, this one still has to be covered. It's a freshie, it smells really good, it's a great compliment getter. It's not a bad performer, it is only an eau de toilette, but again, it's cheap. You can buy a big bottle like this and just spray the heck out of it. On my skin, I get around 6.5, 7 hours of longevity, and it does tend to project actually really well. It's going to be one where it does do better in the heat, summer-based scent, and when you get that heat on it, it will project more. Up next here, we have Azzaro Chrome Intense. Now, this is one that I don't see tossed around all that much. You see the other flankers, and from what I've seen, I see more talk about the original Azzaro Chrome still compared to the Intense version. I don't know if maybe I missed all of that talk and maybe potential hype that was around this, but I never saw any of it. This one has ozonic notes, mate, citrus is some of the main notes. Essentially, this Intense version is a bit more green and herbal and aromatic, where the original is basically all focused on citrus and metallic goodness. So if you want something that is kind of like a true Intense flanker, something that is going to be less bright, less focused on being ultra fresh and introducing some greener aromatic notes, just a little bit of a different twist, Azzaro Chrome Intense is one that you may want to check out. We'll say it's not going to have quite the same magic or mass appeal as the original does, which is probably a lot of the reason why this one didn't get as much hype. I have to say, out of all of the bottles though, I really like this one because of the details on the inside. That little textured piece that goes around the atomizer tube is really cool. I like this one. The color of the fragrance itself is a bit of a darker blue. Presentation is really nice. Even though it's an Intense, it's still an eau de toilette. Performance on this one for me is around the same as the original, 6.5. Maybe I'll get 7 out of this one, a little bit longer due to the herbaceousness of this one, but it's not like a beast mode scent. Projection is also relatively strong, however, not as strong as the original Chrome. So this one does a little bit better in longevity, but not quite as good in terms of projection. So take your pick. Up next, we have Azzaro Chrome Aqua. Sea notes, grapefruit, and basil are some of the main notes in this one. Cool bottle design on this one here. You got like a frosted glass with a little bit of a texture to it. The cap is matching the text on the front here. Pretty neat, nice little twist. Now this one here for me is a little bit on the boring side. And one thing you're going to hear often is sea notes or aquatic notes. You're going to hear me say that a lot when I'm reading these note breakdowns, so be prepared for that. But essentially, that's a lot of what you get here. Maybe less focus on a super bright citrus pop and more focus on just this kind of typical generic watery aquatic smell. The aquatic note used in here kind of reminds me of similar notes that are used in the original Aqua de Joe Pour Homme. Not saying that this is a clone of that or that this directly smells like that, but the type of aquatic watery feel that I get out of this one is could be compared to Aqua de Jo, at least for me. You pick up on a little bit of the basil, so it's giving a little bit of an herbal twist, kind of like an intense, but they're still different here. Main focus for me is obviously the aquatic notes, and that kind of makes sense. This one is also an eau de toilette on my skin, about 6 hours. So a little bit less than the other two that we mentioned so far. And projection is going to be kind of in a similar realm where it's a little bit on the weaker side. I find this one to not do quite as well as the original and intense. But 6 hours for an aquatic that's in the cheap variety here, I don't think that's terrible. Not great either though. Next up, Azzaro Chrome Extreme. Orange, sea notes, and juniper berries are some of the main notes. So I actually really like this one a lot. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, when this came out, it got a nice little decent push. Some reviewers got their hands on it and gave it some good reviews. And it was hard to get for a while because I remember me trying to get it for my small little channel back when this first came out. My channel wasn't that big. Not that it's that big now, but it is much smaller at the time. The other bigger reviewers were able to get it quicker because they knew what they were doing more. And I was kind of like, oh, you know, I'd like to review Azzaro Chrome Extreme, but I can't find it. And so I was extremely late to that hype train. In fact, I still don't have a review on it, so I never even boarded that hype train. I'm still kind of off on the side like, Chrome Extreme, where you at? But here I am featuring it, and I have to say I really like it. Nowadays, you can find it on discounters. This is one of them that is going to be a little bit more expensive. Not expensive, but compared to the others, a little bit more. But I think it's worth it. I really like how this comes across. The orange and the juniper berries is giving it a different twist compared to all of the other ones in the lineup. Of course, it has those sea notes in there. It's still going to be watery and aquatic. It's a little bit salty. The juniper berries kind of gives it a bright, different twist. The orange is up top, giving it a little bit of a creaminess, a slight sweetness. This one's very pleasant and actually one of my favorites from the lineup here. And what's cool about this is it is an eau de parfum. So that kind of boosts up the performance here a little bit on my skin, and actually longevity, about 8 hours on my skin. Now, projection is pretty solid as well, one that will definitely give about an arm's length away, and it'll leave a nice little trail behind you. And I believe, if I remember, that's also one of the reasons why this one initially caught hype, was that it was actually a pretty good performer, at least compared to the rest of the line here. So definitely pretty solid here. Again, you're paying a bit more, but I think that higher price gets you a product which is maybe a bit better than some of the others here. Next up, we have Azzaro Chrome Pure. So this one stands out because it is the only one out of my collection that doesn't have a cap. I bought this as a tester. As you can see on the back, you get the note breakdown, and you know it reminds you that, hey, this is a tester bottle. Just so you know, in case you forgot, the fact that you didn't get a cap with it, it's a tester. So be aware of that if you go to purchase these. I believe that's going to be about the same with all of these. The testers may not come with the cap. I don't think the price difference is going to be all that huge, but when I was buying this, I guess I cheaped out a little bit. It must have been a bad month. Tonka bean, watery notes, and orange are some of the main notes, so I found that overall this one adds a little bit more of a sweetness, at least compared to some of the others. It's still watery, fresh, citrusy, fruity, that sort of thing. Still a chrome flanker, but there's a sweetness. There's a little bit of like a suede, smooth undertone about this one as well, and a bit more of a woody focus, like a woody base, like a sandalwood. This is still primarily fresh, still a summertime scent, but maybe one that you'd wear in a summer evening. I find that the bottle is a little bit misleading because you would see this pure white bottle and think that's going to be the brightest of them all, the most citrusy and, you know, the most kind of basic one of them all. But the sweetness that this one adds makes it a bit more of a nighttime approach. I think maybe a darker bottle would have fit this better, but that's just me. We're back to an eau de toilette concentration here. On my skin, 7 hours, pretty solid. You know, that sweeter base gives it a bit more of a backbone to last on your skin longer. Projection, same thing, about an arm's length. In the heat, it will project more, but do keep in mind that heat will also amplify the sweetness of this one, which you may or may not want. It depends on what you're after here. Next up, we have Azzaro Chrome Legend. So I got a little bit chinced on this bottle. When you look online on Fragrantica, and you see the picture, the bottle looks really sweet. And I wouldn't be lying if I said that part of the reason why I bought this was because I really liked how it looked. Then I get this. I get that as the cap. Come on. Now, I don't remember the story. I don't remember if it was due to maybe this being a tester or what. There's no tester markings on this, and I bought this a while ago. Basically what I'm trying to say is I got the crappy cap instead of the big cap that fits on that actually looks good. So be aware of that. Either I think it's probably a tester thing because the bottle size is 125 ml. So yeah, don't buy this as a tester, or you might get a cap that looks completely stupid. Like I would have rather had no cap at all than this stupid little thing. Junky press fit thing with the ugly exposed collar right there. I don't like that, but hey, we'll get on with the scent here. Apple, tea, and bitter orange are some of the main notes. So I'll tell you up front, this one has tea, but there's another one in this lineup that we're going to cover that has tea that is 10 times better. I really don't like Legend all that much. I find that out of all of them, this comes across the most synthetic, the most unnatural. Not only in the opening, but I mean, even in the dry down and smelling it off the atomizer, it smells the cheapest to me. I really just can't get behind this one. I'm not being a niche snob. I'm not hating on, oh, it's cheap, it's got crappy quality, because there's some really good ones in here that are also cheap, that are really solid. I don't find that this one really cuts it for me. The longevity on my skin is about 6.5 hours, so kind of on par with some of the other weaker ones, but still, I guess, not terrible. Projection, a similar thing, although maybe a bit under average compared to some of the others. This is an eau de toilette. Up next, we have Azzaro Chrome Sport. Grapefruit, lemon, ginger, and watery notes are some of the main notes. Big surprise, right? They went with a different bottle design here, whereas it doesn't have a cap. They just have the standard built-in integrated atomizer. But what I find is really cool about this, the detail, is on the top where the button is, it has the texture, which is synonymous with all of the others. Every other Azzaro Chrome bottle with a cap has that texture, and they continue that right here, which I think is really cool. Nice little detail there. They could have just made that smooth. Probably would have been cheaper that way, save a couple pennies, but hey, they splurged and they gave us the texture on top. This one also has a frosted glass that when gets wet, it will look a little bit weird. So we'll show you this as I'm spraying myself. The frost kind of goes away when it gets wet. That's one thing that I don't like about frosted glass bottles is it's almost inevitable when you spray this one that some gets on the bottle. Like that was a normal spray and the mist is coming back and it's getting on the bottle. So I don't really care for that, but you know, that's nitpicking for a $20 scent. Now this one smells quite similar, shockingly similar to Versace Man Eau Fresh, also a blue bottle, but not frosted. That one's a starfruit, citrusy, musky based fragrance, and that's really similar to what you get here. In fact, very similar. There are some differences, but not a whole lot. So that begs the question, should you get this? If you have Versace Man Eau Fresh, I would pass on this. However, if you want to save 20 bucks, you can get this one over the Versace. However, part of me is also like, maybe just save the extra $20 and get the Versace, because you're going to get overall a better product, something that is a bit more smooth, a bit higher quality, and a bit of a better blend. That being said, this still smells really good, and this would be an absolute compliment destroyer, especially in the summertime with some heat on it, because this type of DNA absolutely kills it. It's an eau de toilette on my skin, 6 hours, not really the best either, and projection in the heat does pretty well. If you're not wearing it in the heat, if you're just kind of indoors, it's relatively moderate. Let's keep it moving. Up next, Azzaro Chrome United. Violet leaf, tea, and bergamot are some of the main notes. So this is that other tea fragrance that I was talking about when I was talking about Chrome Legend. And yep, this is 10 times better than Chrome Legend. So I've actually had Chrome United for a while now. I've featured it in multiple videos. If you've been watching the channel, you've probably seen it pop up. You'll notice there's no sea notes, no watery notes, and I told you that I would say that a whole bunch of times, and this one doesn't really have it listed. However, you get a watery touch from the violet leaf in here. So it's almost like even Azzaro was like, okay guys, we're using watery, aquatic sea notes way too much in all of our fragrance. Let's mask it and disguise it and use a violet leaf. But really though, that violet leaf gives off a watery touch with a bit more of a green aspect. The tea's relatively strong here. It's a nice tea fragrance for the price. It's not going to compete with something like Nishane Wulong Sha or Silver Mountain Water by Creed, but again, for the price, it's pretty solid. If you're after a nice, calming, relaxing tea fragrance for about $20, $25, $30, whatever it goes for, you can grab this one. You can get it in a ridiculously large bottle like this for no reason and, you know, have even more to spray on. This is an eau de toilette on my skin, usually around 6.5, 7 hours here. Projection in the heat does incredibly well. But like the trend, if it's not in the heat, it's going to be a bit more of a personal bubble scent. So when you can, wear these fresher ones out in the heat in the summertime, and they're going to perform really well for you. So up next we have Azzaro Chrome, Under the Pole. Now this one here, if you don't know the story behind this, this is an alcohol-free fragrance. So I guess they're trying to, you know, be healthy or something with this. I don't really know the full story behind this. I just know it's alcohol-free. You can see that that coloration there is not the bottle. It's actually the juice. And it actually looks like milk. I don't know how well this is going to be picking up here, but you can see that it's like a thicker substance than obviously an alcohol-based fragrance. It's kind of really freaking weird. To sum it up, this one has citrus and woods as some of the main notes. There's like sandalwood, cedarwood, a whole bunch of different woods. Your typical citrus, bergamot, grapefruit, that sort of thing. It's kind of standard here. That's just kind of how it comes across. Now when you spray this one, you know, it does have a woody, kind of powdery, citrusy pop. Not too much of an aquatic note out of this one like some of the others. For me, I just don't find it to be all that interesting. I'm not saying that all of these here are like mind-blowing, interesting scents, but this one is kind of like Chrome Legend, where it just kind of falls flat for me personally. I'm sure there are a couple of you out there that love Chrome Under the Pole and you admire this stuff, but for me, I think you're better off spending your money elsewhere. The alcohol-free thing is cool, but it just doesn't really work for me. It's an eau de toilette on my skin, you know, 5 hours if I'm lucky, maybe a bit less. It just doesn't want to stick around. And the projection is even worse. Like, it's basically a skin scent, for real. And, you know, normally an eau de toilette would have some pop, have some projection, but due to it not having alcohol, it just falls flat. And when I say I get 5 hours out of it, again, that's pushing it. And by that point, it is really a skin scent. In fact, it kind of smells like when you take a shower with the fragrance on and then you smell your hand. It smells like, you know, every fragrance does when you've washed it. Like, literally, try this. Spray on any fragrance, whether it be a tobacco vanilla scent or a freshie, and then wash your hands or take a shower. It almost smells the same every time. It's weird. It's like this watered down fragrance alcohol smell. That's what this smells like after about 4 to 5 hours. Like, it's literally worthless at this point. I just don't think it's really worth a damn. And we made it to the end. Last fragrance today, Azzaro Chrome Summer Edition 2015. So yeah, this one you can still buy. I believe even FragranceNet still has it on their website. So they must have made a crap ton of this back in 2015 and they're still trying to sell it off. Unless they're still producing it and it's not a limited edition, which that's not uncommon. So many fragrances are limited editions that were released 3 years ago and yet they're still being put out. So it wouldn't surprise me here. I really do like the bottle though. It's got a really nice piece of artwork on the back that shows through into the front, and you can see it says limited edition. Pretty cool, I like it. Blackcurrant, tea, watery notes, grapefruit, some of the main notes. It's okay, not nearly as good of a tea scent as Chrome United, and another one that to me is kind of, I guess, more so a novelty. Really, that's like Chrome Under the Pole. I feel bad. I was a little bit harsh on our friend Under the Pole, okay? I'm sorry, okay? I shouldn't have spoke like that about this. This is a novelty. In my opinion, so is this one. It's a collector's edition. It's a summer's edition. Every brand does this. They release something every summer, and oh my gosh, it's the newest thing. Yeah, I don't think you should buy that one. I don't think you should buy Under the Chrome Pole either. Under the Chrome Pole. Yeah, we'll stick with that. I think that's more fitting. So we're at the point of the video where I tell you my favorites and which ones I think are worth picking up. This is going to be pretty easy because I can grab them all at once. Let me see if I can find them first. Here we go. Really, this is about what you need in my opinion. Chrome Extreme, really, really solid. Actually impressive. Like, I was surprised with this one. It is good, and I do think it was worth the little bit of hype that it got. And of course, Chrome United tea fragrance for $20 to $30. Both of these are good. Those are my two that I think you should definitely consider, like, or at least definitely pick up. I think most of you would be happy with these for sure, like without a question. If you wanted to go a little bit farther and expand your collection, you know, maybe you might like Chrome Pure for something a bit sweeter, but you know, it's okay. Chrome Intense you might like as well, but once we get to this point, it's kind of like, okay, You know, not everyone is a psycho person like I am that needs to have every fragrance for a YouTube channel. So really, I think you'd be happy with United and Extreme. And of course, the original Chrome, if you're an OG who wore that going to high school or whatever and you want to have it for nostalgia reasons, that's great. But if you're new to collecting, United and Extreme, grab those and be done with it. And if you want to grab any of these, it will be linked down below. Thank you so much for watching. Become a channel member, okay? Just try it. I mean, you could cancel anytime, try it, whatever. You can watch a whole bunch of bonus videos. You can chat with me in a private group chat. You can ask me, like, hey, which Chrome fragrance should I buy? If you didn't get any information out of this, ask me in the group chat. I'll be happy to help you. If you found this video helpful, you can become a member and show your support that way. That's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.